3 more weeks till Fire Emblem Engage launches. I plan to keep making videos rounding up the news as we creep closer to launch. This week we had a big 8-minute trailer dedicated to new Fire Emblem fans, lots of new footage. Sadly, it's all in Japanese. We did get footage of Emblem Ike in action though. I will be mentioning any small tidbits I thought were interesting and trying to clear up any details we previously discussed. If you haven't seen it, I do have a big breakdown of Engage mechanics and details that we already knew about. I will be assuming you know most of that information as we continue week to week. Let's start with the random tidbits of info we discovered from the new footage. On the English side of promotion, it's been rather light to say the least. Hopefully once the new year hits, things will start to pick up. However, we did get to hear the new Anna, new voice actor since this is a younger version of her. She does have some gremlin vibes.
Slashing more than prices! I'm pretty tough, you know.
Because we got some clear shots, here's a look at the early game party. If you know about the characters and their classes, then you would recognize that Sommie and Illugia all seem to have pre-promoted units. Our initial characters are going to be Alir and the Stewards, plus the entire Firenze crew. We also have Yunaka and Anna joining us early. The Brodians will be next, and we already have to start deciding on who we want to be using. Next thing we saw was a look at probably a tutorial map. Lumera will be our friendly boss, and she uses swords plus has Emblem Sigurd equipped. People already figured out that Lumera hands Sigurd's ring to Alir when she's kicking the bucket. You can already see that Alir has Emblem Marth. We did get some clarifications on older information. For example, we know daggers have 1 to 2 range, however that might be on a dagger to dagger basis. Yunaka equips the Petch Cats, and this dagger only has 1 range, but higher stats. Another thing I didn't mention last time was that a unit's natural weapon proficiency or talent is the icon highlighted in blue. This is interesting because later on we'll find out that Anna's natural talent is in bows. I thought a unit's natural talent was based on their starting class, but we've seen Anna start as an axe fighter. The next thing I want to clarify is that chain attacks seem to deal 10% of the foe's max HP. Scaling damage is quite nice even if it's not a huge amount. As for Chain Guard, we know this is a Chi Adept mechanic and we got to see it in action. The funny thing is that it might cost the user HP even if the hit would have dealt 0 damage. I'm not sure if it's just showing 0 before the enemy's damage because Chain Guard is tanking the hit, but it is weird. Let's continue talking about mechanics because we got some new info. If you use Smash and the enemy cannot be pushed back because they hit a wall or another foe, then that triggers Break. This is pretty neat, although I'm curious what counts as a wall. It will allow you to break weapons you normally cannot with the usual weapon triangle. Speaking of Break, personally I was never 100% sure how it actually functioned. We've only ever gotten clips of single rounds of combat and descriptions of Break are kind of vague. They mention the enemy cannot hit back until their next attack. But does that mean the entire enemy phase or just the next round of combat? Well, I believe I finally have a sequence where Break is seen in full. In this clip, Vander attacks a lance fighter and breaks them. 80 attacks the same lance fighter and you can see they have no weapon and are bent over. Last, Anna attacks the same enemy, but this time they have their weapon again. I think this clearly showcases Break as a status that lasts for 1 round of combat and you can use it up even if the foe wasn't going to counter anyway. This makes sense with the new information we got from Smash. It makes grouping up a bit dangerous if the enemy has the heavier Smash inflicting weapons, and you can use this to your advantage too. Flank the enemy with a Cavalier, smash them if they're close enough to a wall, and you can freely attack with another ally. I guess the next question now is, can I inflict a Break again on an already broken enemy to extend the Break status an extra round? Alright, let's move on. We got confirmation that for difficulties we have normal, hard, and maddening. Not sure if you need to beat the game once to access maddening. As expected, you can also play in casual or classic mode. Another returning feature is Milla's Turn Wheel or Divine Pulse. The new term will be Draconic Time Crystal. Curious if there's a plot reason for that. Next, I want to talk about classes. We learned that units can have up to 4 skill slots. 1 personal skill, 1 class skill, and 2 slots for skill inheritance from the emblems. Apparently the class skill only comes from the advanced classes, or the promoted ones, and you need to hit level 5 on them. I'm not 100% sure, but you might be able to equip any class skill just as long as you learn it. Now, as for skill inheritance, you will need to reach bond level 5 with the appropriate emblem. I'm not sure if there's some kind of total level for emblems because you do need to increase bond levels to access more skills. If you need individual bond levels for each character to inherit later skills, then that is going to require some long-term investment. From the new JP intro to Fire Emblem video, we did get some fun new footage. Fram gets to fight in her Master Monk class. You also can see that the big monsters don't really seem to have the barrier mechanic that was in Three Houses. We do know the Griffin Knight existed, but this time we got a crit animation, and we also saw that they can use staffs as their secondary weapon. Brand new was our first look at the Sage class, and we got a couple shots at multiple characters using it. In one clip, Chloe as a Sage is using the Nova Tome, which looks like a Brave Tome to me. I was questioning why she had so many lances on her, but they seem to be grayed out. It doesn't look like we're going to get Sages wielding lances. I think they just reclassed Chloe to get footage, and they didn't change out her inventory. Another fun sight we got was that we got to see the crit animation for the Wolf Knight when it's using axes. I feel like this class is going to be very popular. I posted a clip of this to my Twitter, and there were a couple comments from people who did not know this class existed. I don't blame them though, because I don't think the English promotion side has even shown the Wolf Knight off. We've seen the name in English, but Marin was engaged, so she wasn't actually on her wolf. Hopefully all classes with multiple weapons will get unique animations, because I love my flashy stupid crits. Last thing I want to mention for classes are the weapon proficiencies or talents whenever they end up being called in English. I didn't quite understand the natural talents last time, so I didn't comment more, but I think I get it now. Natural talents in blue can give you a higher weapon rank for a class. However, I think this only kicks in for promoted classes. From Vander's example, we can see the Axe General has a blue S rank. However, Anna's Axe General only has an A rank. Vander has a natural talent in axes, and this is why his Axe Paladin class also has S rank, and his Axe Paladin is A rank. I feel there is a system in place where the armored cavalry and flying units only hit A rank weapons, and you need the natural talent to get the S rank. Infantry specialists like the Berserker or Swordmaster seem to get S rank by default. The classes with 2 weapons also seem to max at A rank for their main. You can guess that Warrior has A rank axes and C rank bows, but since Anna has natural bow talent, she brings it up to B rank bows. I don't want to get too into it, but this seems to be their way to guide certain units into certain roles, kind of like older Fire Emblem games. You are free to customize classes, but some units would just be better by having more weapon options. To end this section on talents, we saw Alfred's promoted class have A rank lances, B rank swords. That is strange because Alfred has a natural talent in lances, but his unique promoted class doesn't even hit S rank. That makes me question if something else is involved here. We did get some additional info on some Somniel stuff, plus more footage of the overworld. If you missed it, Engage will have a world map system again. This lets you encounter random skirmishes to train more, and there is a mechanic to invest in certain nations, which can spawn different enemies. When you're ready for the next main chapter, you just waltz on over, and I do believe it does even give you a general recommended level. Back in the Somniel, we learned more about enhancing emblem weapons. You can upgrade them, and they use the materials we get from the Tempest Trials mode. Not sure if this is the only way to get these, but Tempest Trials does have a purpose. The upgrades seem pretty noticeable, and you can apparently upgrade each weapon 16 times. You can choose which stat to improve, although I'm guessing higher ranks would just require more and more materials. We also have a ton of emblem weapons in the game, so not sure if you're going to be needing to hardcore grind Tempest maps. For what it's worth, I do believe auto battle is back in the game. I didn't include it in last week's video, but we did learn that there is some kind of online co-op mode called Relay Trials. You need relay tickets to participate, and while there aren't any specifics, it looks like you're going to take turns moving units with another player. You can send messages to the other player too. Not sure what this mode rewards just yet. Considering Fire Emblem isn't really a multiplayer game, it's probably just another for fun mode. Last time we only had information about Emblem Ike's abilities, but we did get a trailer in the past week. Most of the information is the same. One of Ike's sync skills is that he boosts defense and res when below 75% HP. It appears it's a +5 defense and res boost. We did learn that when engaged with a dragon, Ike's damage reduction is 60% instead of 50%. Reminder, when engaged, the user always gets hit, but it's at half damage. For Ike's engaged weapon, he has the hammer. We learned the hammer is a heavy type weapon that inflicts smash. I found out a mirror also seemed to be a smash type weapon. Now, for Ike's engage attack, we get to see it in action. He boosts defense and res for 1 turn, and on the next phase, he unleashes Aether, which hits everything within 2 spaces. That attack can heal the user, and you inflict break as well. We saw Aether can be used with axes or swords, so that determines which foes get broken. I'm not actually sure if things like armor effectiveness work on the AoE attack. We have a couple emblems with AoE special attacks like Sigurd's Override. If you were to use the Rider's Bane with Override on multiple Cavaliers, do all of them take extra damage? I suppose that would make things more interesting. Overall, Emblem Ike is definitely supposed to be a Vanguard type partner. You can get super tanky and then unleash Aether on multiple enemies to clean up groups. Still waiting to see what's up with the Brave outfit though. Last section for today is once again character focused. Before that though, we actually got new information about the main plot, and amazingly it came from the UK site for the game. Once every 1,000 years, legendary heroes called emblems grant incredible power to the one who holds the 12 emblem rings. As the ritual nears, Alir, the divine dragon of prophecy, awakens to collect the rings and bring peace to the land. It also adds that Sombron has risen to seek the rings for himself. So, this little tidbit gives us some context. Alir hasn't woken up for no reason. There is some kind of ritual that happens every 1,000 years, and we gotta go collect the Dragon Balls before the bad guys do. If there was gonna be a twist in the story, could we end up losing all 12 rings? Because currently, it kinda just sounds like we get the 12 rings and we beat the big bad dragon. Maybe the ritual itself is a bad thing. Who knows? Now, as for new character info, we did get a bit of a fun surprise. They featured Sommie, the animal mascot thing that resides in the Somniel. Sommie apparently only recently started showing up right before Alir woke up. According to Vander, he asked Lumera about it and she said it's Somniel's guardian deity. Plus, she used to play with Sommie when she was young. We do know Lumera was around 1,000 years ago, and pretty much like all Fire Emblem dragons or Manikees, they live for a long time. I'm gonna laugh when this thing turns into like some kind of badass dragon or something. Now, not new characters, but we got a little more info about Panette and Lapis. Lapis's profile on the website mentioned that she knew about edible grasses, and the Japanese Twitter added to this by saying she was trained to survive as a hunter. As for Panette, we knew she was polite and liked ghosts and insects. They revealed that Panette used to be more wild, and you can still see that when she fights. The official site showed a bit of the support conversation between Panette and Tamara. Tamara ends up teasing Panette about her personality when they first met. Maybe we'll find out why she ended up changing so much. That's going to be it for this week's news. Hopefully the English promotion side will start rolling out more stuff once the holidays are over. For what it's worth, the 8-minute beginner's video to Fire Emblem did get a version on the Nintendo Hong Kong side. Hopefully that means we will get one in English. It did take a whole week for the last trailer to get translated though, so I guess we'll find out soon. Fire Emblem Engage comes out on January 20th, and I will be back next week to compile any new info we learn. Check out my previous Engage video, which covered all the new mechanics and features, plus it has a rundown of a ton of the characters. I'll have that linked at the end card if you want to learn more. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.